is a quick one, Stephen.
Oh, goody.
Very quick. You'll be on the screen in just a jiffy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to another movie review from MBE. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on this Friday night on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream. Tonight we are going to be reviewing Telepathy VJ's
Yes.
Theri from 2016. John, this is directed by Atley Kumar and it's,
whoa, did you see that scene change here, Stephen? Hold on a minute. What is going on here?
Look at that. Oh,
what the
That's so soothing, isn't it? The way that transition, John. But
right.
Samantha's in this as well, who we are big fans of.
Go to you, Stephen. That's better.
Amy Jackson as well, John. In fact, before I pass this off to you, before we do the movie review, John,
Yes.
I have to say both female leads in this were absolutely outstanding.
Mhm.
I loved the story as well. Structurally, I thought this was probably the best film out with master. Structurally, that is, for flashbacks and stuff like that. I thought they handled that very well in this film. It wasn't too jarring. But I'm going to pass it over to you now, John. Anyway, this came in 2 hours and 37 minutes, and we had already did a reaction to the death scene.
Yes.
Which we never put out for good reason.
Oh, the dog's farted, Stephen, but
yeah.
I let him away with it after the day he had yesterday.
And John, that was probably about 2 months ago. We filmed that death scene reaction, and
Yes.
it stayed with me. It has stayed with me. And
sadly, Stephen, it's just never seen the light of day. It's one of many reactions which we've not seen. But they're still they can.
But watching this film, John, it exercised a lot of demons for me. The justification at the very end of this film as well. I know we'll talk about obviously some issues with the end of this film,
Yes.
but the build up to why that death scene happened and then the aftermath
Yeah, it
of
was
that as well.
explainable, Stephen. We were fighting.
John, I got a lot of satisfaction out of this film based on that. There was a lot of closure for me.
But even reacting to it, Stephen, we thought that old guy's a shithead. Why is he doing this? He's an evil bastard.
Yeah.
He's trying to drown that young kid.
Yeah.
But it's all explained.
A baby,
in there's no justification for trying to drown a newborn baby, but ultimately he did kill his son.
Yeah.
Even though he deserved it because he was a rapist and an absolute shithead of a guy. But there was minor justification. There was a reason why he was going to that lengths to not just kill people around him, but actually make his life a living hell whilst he did it. Welcome in, Ruth. We're looking forward to doing it as well. Thank you for commenting.
And thank you for recommending this film as well, Ruth.
Yes, we've actually went to your list that you provided. We tried to do Gilly.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find it. Well, we couldn't get English translations.
No. John,
anyway.
I've learnt a lesson. Don't put anything on the community tab until I can find a copy of a English translated or subtitled Indian movie, because it doesn't work without it.
I hope that battery low thing from the headset didn't go through the actual desktop audio, because I heard that. It was the battery low coming from a Corsair Virtuoso headset, which is just consistently low in battery. Stephen, thankfully 4 or 5 of those movies that Ruth actually recommended are on Amazon Prime and stuff like that. So, but look, that aside, let's get into it, man. Ratings system, I've still not changed the C category to good instead of average. I says last week I don't think average does quite enough justice for the C category. It demeans it. I'm going to change it. I'm going to bump average perhaps down to... No, I'm not. I'm just going to change it to good. But needless to say, this is how we rate our movies on here.
Needless to say, I had the last laugh.
Yes, I say needless to say a lot. A lot. And I have to cut it out. F, terrible, very poor. I'm doing my Donald Trump hand movements here because subconsciously I'm thinking of terrible and the connotations with Tango Man, and he is a fucking terrible human being on all levels. But terrible movies, think of The Fanatic, think of The Rise of Skywalker, think of I don't know, some terrible ghastly movies out there, and it goes into that category. D minus through plus, below average, an okay watch but just slightly disappointing on some level. C minus through plus, an average decent watch. We're going to change that to good. This is a good movie, but it's not sneaking into very good, but it's still a good watch. The likes of, I don't know, man, a lot of MCU movies will slip into that for me. But the likes of maybe For the Dark World and stuff like that, well, that's below average, but some decent movies will go in there. B minus 3 plus, I'm lingering on this too long. Good, very good. Cool Hand Luke, one of my all-time favourite movies, slips into there. Excellence, you are looking at The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, Shawshank Redemption,
Police Academy 7.
Police some great perfection. All of the greatest movies of all time slip into here. And for more, I don't know, I don't know what the word I was going to say there. I'm blanking. That's not a good sign for the rest of this review. For more clarification Gene Wilder, for more clarification on how that rating stacks, B+ is what we gave Master, which for me has been the best telepathy movie I've watched to date, Steve.
Yeah.
Some of them have got close to creeping into the B section as well.
Yeah.
And we'll see how this actual review of this movie follows and how we rank it. I may change my mind as I go along.
It does happen, yeah.
I often do that. But Stephen, build up to this movie. All I was aware of this movie was the death scene. We did watch a couple of music videos from it.
We did, yeah.
And one of them, and I had it up because I had to find out what it was actually called and if that was in Theri and if we had reacted to it so I could get the logo we put on the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I can't recall the one, but it's the one where he is, in a sense, he's dancing around in the police outfit and it's incredible. It's an incredible song and dance number. I want to say it's the second one in the movie, not long after Vijay Kumar is introduced. That's the first sort of introduction to this movie we had. What did you make getting into this movie, Stephen? Before we actually get into the actual substance of the movie, the story, the character development, the brilliance, the pros, the cons, what was your expectations getting into this movie? Because for me, having seen the death scene, it did stick with me. It was haunting. It wasn't nice to watch, and it was different from what I'd seen from Telepathy before, because he's always the victor. He's always the strong man. For him to be getting beat up and his kid to be getting treated like that, it shocked me to my core.
His wife as well.
Getting into this, I didn't know what to expect. That's what I'm saying.
Funnily enough, John, when we did the reaction for that, I thought this is pretty dark, for a Telepathy VJ movie. So far, from what we've seen. But the first 5 minutes of this film, very light and airy. It's him and his daughter, and I thought, wow, well, okay. I didn't expect
daughter's
this.
class, by the way.
And I never really I didn't really connect at first, John. I'll be honest with you. With that, that daughter was the little baby. I just assumed from that clip that we reacted to, that baby was done and dusted, dead.
Stephen
because it was face down in the water. You saw that clip, and I never really pieced it together.
That was so much better than being shot in the head, though. He did point the gun at the baby's head at one point, and I was cringing.
What
are you doing?
He was a bad man, John. But my expectations going into this, based on the actual death scene, was that this is going to be a very dark movie. It didn't get any darker than that sequence, to be fair, though.
That was the low point.
Yeah,
for him.
That was
very much a trough.
Yeah, definitely. But it lived up to its expectations, though, for me, John, as an action thriller. A bit of romance in there as well. Most Telepathy VJ movies have that element of romance in it anyway.
This one was earned, though.
It was earned, John, and it had a sort of it was executed better as well. And some of the ones we've seen that kind of fizzle away and nothing happens, nothing develops from it. This did. I thought they handled the relationship between
Samantha,
the
Mitra character,
and
Vijay Kumar.
Amy Jackson, is it you call her? Amy
Jackson's
she was character,
the school
Annie.
teacher,
Just I know there wasn't a romantic element. I think there was a chemistry between them more than anything. There was a mutual sort of likeness.
If the movie had went on 1.5 hour more, I think we'd have seen something happening with those characters.
A bit of a spark,
ultimately it ended before anything could really be
acted
ending,
on. John, I liked that little bit at the end.
I did like the bit at the end,
yeah,
I liked that, well, we kind of do get it at the end. I forgot
and
about
I liked
that.
his buddy.
He was great, man. I love that guy.
Character calls him Baldy in the hospital.
That guy's been in multiple movies now. I love that guy. He's got such a deep voice. He's brilliant. Absolutely love him. I'm going to find his name. I've actually got the IMDb up. It was Van Malai. And it was Jay Mahendran. He is absolutely fantastic, that guy.
I thought it was Mota.
No, sorry, it is Mota. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm fucking tripping here. Right. It's Rajendran. Sorry, it's Rajendran. That's the actual villain, Van Malai. And I hate him.
He's a good villain, though.
He's a weasel. And he's one to watch. But yeah, man, Rajendran was fantastic. Mota Rajendran, funny enough, that's his name, Stephen. He's been in multiple movies now. I can't recall which ones. I checked last night to see which ones he'd been in. Really, really enjoyed him. He was a great side character.
Just taking a hit.
What comments that?
That's why I keep a hat on.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, exactly. That's why. Cool bald look, by the way. Yes, I'm bald as a coot.
That's shaved in. That's
it's bald. I'm definitely balding. I had hair a year ago before this pandemic struck. I don't know if it's the stress of COVID or it's just natural male pattern baldness, but yes, I'm definitely getting back. But thankfully I have a nice round head for Hamlet or whatever that Shakespeare one is with the skull, Hamlet, and I've got a nice beard to make up for it. But Stephen, funny enough, I looked a bit like that character and I laughed my head off when it was Was it Samantha? It was Samantha, wasn't it? It played the nurse.
Yeah.
And obviously she's giving him into trouble, and she shouts on him, and he's like baldy, and he's turning around.
Mota means bald. Yeah,
I'm not bald. I'm not baldy. I'm a commander or something like that.
Yeah.
I like that comment. But Stephen, I don't even know where I was. I've lost the plot here.
That was me, John. Sorry.
I've went off on a tangent and completely lost the plot. I think we were talking about the romance and how it had been earned in this movie. It was certainly earned. I enjoyed Samantha in this, and even the Amy Jackson, I think he says the character was, doesn't sound Annie Jackson.
No, Annie's her character's name.
Annie's Amy Jackson. I enjoyed the romance in this, and that's a rare thing. I think it was too packy, where it was the doctor one, and there was some forced romance in that, and you could have cut that romantic sort of side plot out.
Yeah.
And you shaved 20 minutes off the movie and it would have been absolutely fine. I wouldn't have missed it. But Stephen, speaking of stories and shaving things off, the writing in this, the character development, the way it ebbed and flowed for you, the themes explored, what did you make about the story in this movie, Theri?
Yeah.
Of course, there is always a common theme which has been explored in a telepathy movie, that he, maybe a societal ill that he is trying to shine a light upon. We've seen it in other ones. We've seen the farmers, the corporations stealing the water. We've seen the doctors. We've seen the political corruption. I'm trying to think of other ones we've seen, but we've seen a lot of societal ills being highlighted in telepathy movies, and this is the ills against women in India, the whole raping thing, the culture of it, the sheer unbelievable amount of it. I think 33,000 a year they say at one point, 4 an hour in one part of India.
John,
shocking statistics. And again, telepathy, being the great human that he is, the great man in a position of power, he likes to shine a light upon these things and try to see a change.
I've got to retract something I said 5 minutes ago in terms of it doesn't get any darker. I actually forgot about that scene, and it's terrible that I forgot about it. Was the hospital scene with the girl dying.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Obviously, you know what happened to her with the multiple rapes, and it was harrowing.
Yeah, it was.
Harrowing,
Steve, I'm not laughing at that.
And it was a great performance from Telepathy as well. In that scene, he was very emotional in that scene as well.
Steve, that was the most important, most important scene in the whole movie. That was the sort of core nucleus for this entire movie. What made him go and do, what motivated him to go and do what he did, killing that son, and then the hell that was unleashed upon him, where he was at the start of this movie. That was the whole reason behind it. That woman being kidnapped away for 3 days, being raped and killed. Yeah, John, that was the core motivation.
It was. I'm just reading this comment here from Tuan Nada. This movie had some great fight scenes. The road fight scene and climax fight scene was really well choreographed. What do you guys think? The road fight scene was amazing, John. That was when he was beating the shit out of those guys. And
Steve,
then
all the tools.
He met them all back at the hospital.
Steve, is a
fact. He gave them a little wave.
Yes. And his speech as well about them obviously using and abusing the kids, blinding the little girl, taking one of them. I think he broke his ankle. Steve, that was a great scene. We'll get into standout scenes right now. We'll come back to the movie or the actual story, because there's a lot of standout scenes for me. And the road fight scene was fantastic. It's the fact this guy was acting Billy Big Boss, as we like to call him, acting like a big man. And he goes back, he parts his mother and says he'll be back, kicks the living shit out of them all. I think he says at one point, there's 5 hard men here. And he's like, can't you count? There's 13. He says, no, when I hit the first 2, another 2 will come in, and then the rest will run. And Stephen, the way it flows, man, he's running along the road. He's batting the heads off of buses and moving vehicles. He's using everything that comes to his hand.
But he was bouncing that guy's head off about 4 times.
But Stephen, the best moment is when one of the hard men jumps with a hammer and he punches him mid-air and knocks him clean out, and he falls, and then he punches him and slaps him at the same time. Fucking howling. It was absolutely amazing. There was an unbelievable amount of amazing fight sequences in this movie. I've wrote them all down, I think. So I've said some brilliant slapdowns already. First 40 minutes of the movie, we've seen the one in the rain, where it's the different. It's not VG Kumar, it's the alter ego that he's created. Is that what you call Joseph? Yeah,
I think he was called Joseph. He's undercover name, Joseph.
When they go to take his daughter, and he absolutely kicks the living shit out of him. The first, Stephen, that was a great moment, because he's painted as this sort of weakling. The teacher's almost harder than him. She's slapping down those thugs, and she's wanting to investigate them through the police. He's scared. We don't realise why he's scared, because he's got a past and he doesn't want it being unearthed. But that reveal when he is indeed... He's an alter ego. He's playing off in it.
His dying wife, she made him promise that he'd be a good father as well. So that obviously was hinging on his conscience as well. But you're absolutely right. This was a change in the character as well. We said, John, before we came on air as well.
I'm sorry, brother. At
was
one
that
point,
first 2 minutes where he was chasing the guy that soaked his daughter with, driving by in the puddle water.
Yeah.
I wish they never put that
Baby.
bit in. I would have preferred that to have been kept under wraps, how skilled this guy is, and what the past that he's got.
But what it did do, Stephen, was it set up the character and these morals, and the morals he had instilled in his daughter. That despite the things he'd done as in a previous life almost as Vijay Kumar, as this commander of the police, that he had changed his ways. He was a man of peace now. He could have kicked the shit out of that guy, but he stopped short and he says apologise, and that was enough.
Yeah.
And it's important at the end of this movie because he then reinforces the thing with his daughter. I've taught my daughter better. She's better than you.
She was great, John. The daughter.
You've killed her mother, her grandmother, and she's coming over and saying apologise.
Nivi, I think her name was.
Nivi,
Baby Ninika, I think her name was. She was great. She was great chemistry with Telepathy's character as well. In terms of just the father and daughter bond. And I loved that bit when they were on the bike and she was going faster, faster. She's just obviously as crazy as he is,
I called her a nippy sweetie at one point, Stephen. That's a famous saying in Scotland, which means she's quite gregarious. She's up for it. She almost had more fight in her than her father at one point in the movie. But of course he stands up at eventually once the whole Vijay Kumar moniker is revealed. Stephen, man, the scene in the school as well, when it's the first I think it's the first time we go back and see Vijay Kumar, and these sort of, I've called them arse-wipes in my notes. In the school, they're and he comes in and he takes a whip from the sort of board. And Stephen, what killed me the most is at one point they're all up for it, they're trying to take him on, he slaps one down, then the sort of head guy with the pink hair, he flips, he takes a whip and he's almost doing his bidding. And he slaps his own guy, and the guy says, "What are you doing? That's one of yours." And then I think he asks another guy to repeat "Twinkle, twinkle, little star," and he makes a complete arse of it. And he just says, "Just hit me, get it over with." It's the way he has the whole room dancing to his tune. It was absolutely amazing, man. And what an introduction to that character. Completely different to Joseph, totally different guy. And it showed you how the hell he went through to almost evolve into this completely different human being. Stephen, I've mentioned the slapdowns, man. Obviously the clean knocked out thing was incredible, but as I did say, probably the most standout moment for me in the whole movie was the woman being abducted, the search for her, and then ultimately her being found, and the reveal that this metal rusty rod thing, it had pierced her intestine. She was dying. The father as well, really emotive performance from that old guy who was playing the father, and I think that was a pivotal moment in the whole movie for me. It changed the tone. He went on the rampage, and I loved the scene that's followed it on the bridge with obviously bald Mota Rahendran, where he says, "I'd love to string him up on a bridge," and he's like, "Look down." And Stephen, the most visually, I'm taking over here. I do apologise.
Are you talking about the bus scene?
No. Oh, the bus scene was terrible. The most visually stunning moment for me. It reminded me of Tenet, the circling shot in Tenet. When he's standing with the sort of investigator,
John, that made me dizzy.
And they're outlining those.
I actually felt sick watching that, but it was very fast paced.
It was fast.
The rotation of that camera.
It was actually between him and actually Van Malai. It wasn't the investigator, but the moment before that, when the investigator's rhyming off what happened to his son, he had his genitals cut off. He had this happen, and he turns around and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were there." He knew he was there, man. But Stephen, one thing that wound me up a little bit was a gripe, and I know you didn't like it as well, was the sort of nonchalant way he reveals he was the guy that killed the son. You're not going to do anything about it. I didn't like that arrogance.
It seemed out of character for him. He was. You're right. That arrogance wasn't installed in that character at any other point, other than that scene, and I felt it was just a bit too on the nose. It was as if we don't really want to change this format into a sort of cat and mouse game at this point. We want him to know that it's him that did it, and what's he going to do about it, then he'll retaliate. There's a lot of retaliation in this film, John. There
was. Stephen, I like that comment from Tuwan Nada. He says the common thing between Kajal Agarwal and Mercil and Amy Jackson and Theri, both the characters didn't have much to do with the movies. They didn't when you think about it.
No.
Amy Jackson didn't really have much. She was at the start. She sort of sends the events rolling that ultimately pay off at the end. She starts this investigation into the thugs, which ultimately outs Vijay's real identity, and then at the end they go back. Stephen, they like to do this in Indian movies. They start off in the present day, then they go back and spend a long time in flashbacks, and then come back and clean it up at the end. It's something that's not really done a lot in Western movies, but I like it. I like it a lot, man.
I like if it's done right, John. And
Yeah.
I mentioned at the start of this review, structurally this film worked for me because of the flashbacks. We weren't jarring. We didn't hang about too long. I felt, what was the film we did? And it was, the flashback was like half the film.
Was that Tupaki?
Tupaki, yeah.
With
I felt,
the
and
father.
I did like the flashback.
That was the best bit of the movie for me, the actual father.
But it went on for so long, and it was halfway through the film at this point before we got to that stage.
Mm-hmm.
This was handled better, I felt.
Yeah.
With 2 flashbacks, didn't we? We had the one, obviously, from your man, Telepathy's, after he took those goons out in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
We went right back to the beginning.
VG Kamal explained who he was.
Yeah, and then we had your man, Mota, what's his face, the bald guy.
Bring him up.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Mota the Hendren.
Yeah. Then he had to tell the tale, obviously, of the death scene.
Yeah.
So we had those 2 flashbacks, and I felt they were handled well.
They were absolutely necessary, Stephen, because we had to explain why this guy changed his identity, why he was hiding, in a sense, with his daughter, why he became a sort of born-again Christian pacifist. And they explain it beautifully in this movie with the flashbacks. Also, Ashwin being hung off the bridge was tremendous. I loved that because of what he did. The whole back and forth with the politician guy, the villain, I'll bring his name up again, Van Malai.
Yeah.
He thought he was untouchable, and he was acting so arrogant in that scene with, obviously, VJ. He's like, you bring him back to me and then you can do what you want with him. Well, he doesn't, he kills him. And it was absolutely glorious karma for that old guy and the daughter who dies. And again, Stephen, just what Telepathy does in these movies, I don't want to repeat myself, but he does shine a light on societal wills. And look, I was aware of a story from India maybe 5-6 years ago where a woman actually was
on a bus.
Yeah, bus. She was perforated, her bowel was perforated and killed with a rod, funnily enough. So that it is rooted in truth, and it is a real problem in some area. I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything about India and what's going on, but clearly it's a big enough problem that Telepathy has dedicated an entire movie to it, highlighting it and trying to change society. So again, I can't state enough how much respect I've got for the guy and get into these subjects that most superstars, filmmakers, actors wouldn't want to get near it. No. They wouldn't want to get near it, Stephen, in case it damaged their career. Exactly. So I respect the guy for having morals. I'm trying to think what else, Stephen. Sorry, have mercy on me. I love that moment. That was when he interrupts the whole proposal. He's trying to get married. He's trying to get the blessing of the Samantha character's father.
Yeah.
Drink this coffee.
He never got to drink it.
He'll cement it to shoot. But Steve, I love that fight scene. Again, another great fight scene. And he actually says when he walks into the Van Malai den, sorry, your hoodlums come in and we get a poor fight scene. He kind of breaks the fourth wall at one point, sort of poo-pooing the actual fight scene, but I loved it. And the best moment was when the guy, I can't recall what happens, I think he slices his arm, draws blood, and he looks at the blood, and the guy says to him, sorry sir, have mercy on me. He doesn't have mercy on him. He puts him in a fountain or something. That was amazing, man. And just him trying to get this guy to give him his blessing. We can have an apartment up the stairs, we can have a beer and stuff like that, we can do this and that. Another side to the character, Stephen. And it gave Telepathy a chance to do something different in terms of acting. But Stephen, man, the family death scene. Probably the most shocking scene in the entire movie. I put it in standout moments because it is a standout moment despite it being dark as hell. There has been things like this delved into in Western movies. There has been dark moments for characters where some crazy shit has happened. But Stephen, the actual moment when he shoots the Samantha character, it's a shock.
That is, yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
You remember my reaction?
Yes,
you actually laughed at my reaction.
Yes, I laughed at your reaction because you were shocked. It was like an intake of breath. But Stephen, I'll prefix this with the criticism I've got for this because they nearly spoil it. He's buttering it up a little bit too much in the scene, but incidentally, I loved the song and dance number that came. That's the best in the entire movie for me. Just brilliantly implemented into the story, the way they developed the characters, the little kid being born, Nephi being born. That was brilliantly implemented into the story. It cuts out 45 minutes of arcs and trying to establish us. They condense it into a 5-minute song and dance number. Yeah. But he butters it up so much, man, in the moments before the song. I promise I'll always be with you. I'll never give you up on my job. It's like you're putting on too much here. Yeah. You're setting up some tragedy happening here.
It's almost like, John, Lloyd Christmas and Harry Dunn egging that guy on to eat that burger with the chilies in it. Just eat your burger, you know, and they're sniggering. It's like you're being too obvious about
Yes,
this.
you're being too obvious.
You know, we know what's going to happen. Well, we knew what was going to happen because we did the reaction, John. But even without that, I knew something bad was going to happen.
Yeah, it was going to happen, Stephen. They were playing up in it too much, but it didn't. To be fair, it didn't actually prepare you for what happened. And just for me, the most shocking moment, it wasn't the grandmother being shot in the head, because that was.
John, I liked her as well. She was great.
It was a shame for her, Stephen, but it was the baby.
Yeah.
It was the baby. The moment in the bath,
when
you think he's going to spare the little kid, and he pushes her down and turns the tap. It's like, you evil fucker.
Yeah.
A shocking moment. You don't really see that with kids, little babies in movies.
No.
They try to step away from that. But it shows you the level of vengeance in his heart.
Yeah.
He is absolutely gunning for him because he took his son. And even his right-hand guy, I don't think you're taking this serious enough. I miss your, whatever he's, Ashwin, so badly. He's crying at his corner. I think he slaps him at one point. So there was a lot of vengeance in their hearts, in fairness. But a terrible, terrible scene, Stephen.
Yeah.
But you have that motivation for the character to go away and right wrongs. I think it's actually the Samantha character, Nitra. I don't know why I'm Nitri. She actually says to him, don't ever be a police officer again, take your daughter away, protect her. And that's why he is the way he is at the start of the movie. So it was an important scene, Stephen, but a shocking scene in equal measures. We get another comment from 21 Nada. When a mass hero like Telepathy VJ conveys messages in his movies, it reaches to a large extent. Theri's all about good parenting. Exactly, it is. And then obviously conveying this message about the whole raping thing as well. So, look, man, I think you're absolutely right. The guy is a sort of vessel for good, if you like. He tries to do his best to teach people
John,
how to be a better person.
About Telepathy VJ and his films, that he always plays characters that are larger than life in certain scenes, especially the fighting scenes, which, you know, if you're not familiar with Indian cinema and action films, that is, in Indian cinema, it's almost comic book. And I mean that in a good way.
No, it is. No.
Some of the fighting is a bit out there. But I don't really mind that, because the way it's executed and the reason for that as well, John, that's okay, is justified in the story. If the story is good enough, if the story has that revenge element into it, I love to see the exaggerated fight scenes. I love to see things that looks like it's straight out the Matrix. You know, some of the sort of shots that they use.
Because it's so well choreographed, Stephen, and the way they capture it with the cinematography is fantastic. Slow-mo shots and stuff like that. So you can get on board with it. I've interrupted you, Stephen. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, John, I do like the choreography in these films, and I don't mind that exaggeration of fighting. Yeah. It's not real. We get that, but I don't mind it because of the story. It justifies it even more, I think, when you see Telepathy VJ's character in whatever film it is executing these guys in a spectacular way.
Stephen, the only time I wasn't really in awe of it was, I don't know if it was Saka. Was that the political one? Where he was playing a CEO and he had all of the bodyguards around him. It's like, this guy's being portrayed as a weasel. Then he's kicking the shit out of 6-7 people. I'm like, that's not earned.
No.
For this character, the VJ Kumar character, it was certainly earned for me.
It was,
beating the shit out of people. He was established as a man to be feared. This sort of commander of the police force. I can't recall his actual title. But Stephen, there was two more standout moments for me before we got into maybe some criticisms, the story in general. The school bus scene. Shocking again. They don't shy away from putting some terrible imagery in.
Visually, that was well handled.
It was fantastic.
I loved the way that you saw that bus just it was in the background when he was on the phone.
Swerved.
And you just seen it swerve. It was well handled.
And the way he dives off the bridge as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic scene, Stephen. Balls of steel if he did that. Because that you crash with a hard bang getting into that water. Yeah. I liked it, Stephen. And obviously the little kid who was bullying Neefe. He says, I'll punch your
John,
teeth out.
Did you
or
like
something.
the outtakes at the end of that scene? Did you watch the outtakes?
No, I didn't watch
the end credits.
No, I didn't watch the outtakes.
Fantastic.
Oh shit, was
it
the
showed
outtakes?
you that bit where he was calling him uncle.
Oh,
and
right.
he says, I'll slap you. I can't remember.
I'll slap your teeth out or something.
I'll slap your teeth out. Well, after he said that, he burst out laughing.
I need to go back and watch it.
It's really good.
Oh, I need to go back and watch it.
I love that little guy.
He was brilliant.
And I actually thought he was going to die. I thought,
Stephen.
don't kill him. He looks a right good wee guy. Him. I don't.
Again, the shocking imagery, Stephen, of that little kid getting the sort of shock treatment. They don't shy away from it in this movie, and I think that's necessary because it paints the villains very badly. You have to vilify these guys, and then when they get their comeuppance, it's better.
Yeah.
There is a superhero or godlike, larger than life element to the heroes in Indian cinema. Absolutely fine, man. I don't mind it at all. I enjoy it. I enjoy good cinematography. I'm a huge Marvel fan.
Bahubali kind of conditioned us in that sense, didn't it?
Steve,
when
man,
we watched that, at first it took me a little while, maybe 5-10 minutes into the film to really get there, and then I thought, oh no, just let it go. Steve, let it go over you and just enjoy the film.
My favourite standout scene of the whole Bahubali saga was when Mahendra has given the sword by, I think it's Katapa, the bald guy again, the bald guy, the sort of loyal servant that kills his father. When he throws the sword and shouts Mahendra, and he's diving through the air, man, and the ancestors are in the sky, the clouds, the sort of song, it sticks in my head. I loved it, man. And that was just typifying this larger than life fighting thing, so I don't mind that. That's absolutely fine. Doesn't take me out of the movie at all. VG and Atlee has made 3 movies so far, even though Mercil being my favourite. Got to admit that Theri had a better ending. Well, I'll tell you what, man, I had my gripes with Theri, but I did enjoy the way they dealt with the character at the end. I've got my gripes with the ending, I'll get into it. I think it could have been more brutal. I think that guy deserved to be decapitated on camera. But look, it was a nice ending. I liked the way they did the whole China thing and almost set up a sequel. He's going away to deal with some business. He'll be away. He'll be out of town a couple of days.
I actually did think that when I was watching that end sequence. They're starting that new life with new identities, and I thought, this is an opportunity here to have a second film. May come back to it, I don't know.
I think they will, Stephen. That character deserves to be explored more for me. The other standout scene, Stephen, the borderline horror elements. When he comes back in, the media are covering this guy. Is it a ghost or a god? What is it? Who's dealing with these VIP untouchable people?
Did you see the Photoshop bit of Iron Man? Did you see that?
That was great, yeah.
It's so, blink miss it, but
that was good. But Stephen, what did you make of that? It was almost like horror. When he's getting into the garage, it's dark. He gets back to the police station.
John, the police station bit was
flitting around the room.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
It was almost supernatural. It was, and I liked that, and he had his coffee. Was it coffee or was it black tea? I can't remember what it was. But it was a great sequence, John, and it added that sort of air of mystery to the character as well. Vijay Kumar, that is.
And terrified the villains.
And
the infighting.
Almost a Kaiser Soze figure. You hear about this guy, but no one actually knows who he is. And he has another catchphrase in there, Stephen. I actually searched it up. I searched up telepathy, I'm waiting. Because I wondered if it is a catchphrase, because he's done it in 2 movies prior to this. This is the best one. He flips the sort of chewing gum into his mouth, and he shouts his name and says, I'm waiting, or something like that, and it was just a brilliantly sort of put together scene. I actually searched up, I spoiled it for myself, I've seen it before, but I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed that element. And then that guy, the little boy his mother falls, he gives him the money, he can't speak, I think, the language, he's not fluent in it, he says, that's all you're worth. Go and buy a chocolate bar. Then he gets thrown from the building, and the little boy eats the chocolate bar. I'm like, fucking yes. John, just before that though, I felt they were going to just leave that sort of scene hanging, and we wouldn't know what happened to that wee boy. And I went, okay, you know me, I'm a completist, John. I need to know exactly what characters are doing and how their arc's finished. And when they left that scene with the little boy standing over the dead bodies crying with the money in his hand, I thought, come on, we need closure on this guy. We got it, and it was brilliant. He was laughing. He brought the chocolate bar out and he was laughing over the dead body. Great. And Steve, that's probably another message that was being explored, the sort of just disrespect for human life. These workers, the corporates, they don't care. It's just subhuman to them. They're nobodies, no one will care for them. Who cares? Another comment, he did, because it was his mother. Steve, there's some emotive moments in the score, really rose, sort of string heavy. It was string heavy, I'm trying to remember. It was a sort of common thing. I've heard it in a couple of other movies, that kind of score, and I enjoyed it. It sort of amplified the emotion, if you'd like. It kind of goes hand in hand with the sheer volume of fan craze. They're sort of larger than life people, and it stands to reason in the movies they'll be larger than life, doing larger than life kind of things. Steve, that kind of ends the standout moments for me. Obviously the ending, I did enjoy the ending. The fighting with the chair, that was great. John, what did that remind you of?
What did it remind me of?
Black Widow in the Avengers film.
Yes.
It was almost scene for scene.
Yep.
The way that he had to break out the chair as well, it was like a kind of slam dunk. And the
big tall goon guy as well. He was fat as hell, that guy. But he bitch slapped him about.
Tall as hell as well, though.
Oh, Stephen, they destroyed him though. I enjoyed it a lot. But there was one element, and this is my criticism, my final criticism. I only have 2 criticisms of this movie. The buttering up of the sort of death. They were sort of preloading it, we knew it was coming. But then the ending, I think they let the Van Halai, is that his name? Van Malai character. They let him off too easy. This guy doesn't get the vengeance on screen he deserves. This
Yeah.
guy was a cunt, an absolute shithead of a guy.
Yeah.
I don't like to say that word.
No, but what
He
for what he
deserved
did in
better.
that film, and especially in the death scene, John, it was justified to see him suffer. We didn't get to see that. He kind of did throughout the film with the death of his son. He's suffering obviously with the loss. I take it that was a bigger message, for both characters. But I felt just that it could have been done a bit better, executed better, slapping him about it at least. But instead, we've got him strung up and the blood dripping. I think he slit his throat or something. I can't remember.
But it's almost poetic again, Stephen, because that's what he did to his son, and that's what started this all off. He strung his son up, and then he's also stringing him up as well. So when I think back to it, it's actually poetic. He's done double damage on the father-son, sort of combo death, if you like. The older version of his daughter at the end of the movie was played in by VJ's real life daughter. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't
That's
know
great.
that either.
I know he's got 2 kids. I actually searched them up. He's been married to his wife for 22 years. I couldn't believe it. The guy's been married 22 years. 1999. I'm obsessed with this guy now, man. Actually obsessed with him. He was playing a 30-year-old at one point in this movie, Stephen, at
John,
42.
we've also got another question from 2-1 the dad. It says, quick question, guys. Having seen VJ thoroughly in action films, would you being seen VJ doing an offbeat film, a pure emotional drama with no action?
Absolutely.
John, we've seen elements of it in the films we have saw anyway, and when he does some emotional scenes, I do like them, so I would probably be able to, I think I would enjoy an emotional drama film with Telepathy VJ easily.
Stephen, the standout moment for me from Telepathy, or Telepathy, whatever we want to call him. I was saying Telepathy, and then I heard Telepathy being mentioned. I think it was actually in Tupaki, and I'm like, have I been saying that wrong the whole time? But the standout moment for me across all the movies was actually when the little kids get hanged in Master.
Yeah.
The emotion in the guy. This guy is a drunk. He's gave up. He's just going by the motions.
That was a powerful scene, yeah.
When he sees those little kids and he could have saved them, they're trying to contact him, and he misses the calls because he's drinking. That's an emotive scene, the pure out-and-out drama scene from Telepathy, and I was impressed with his acting. So I think you can definitely do an out-and-out drama. Whether the people want to see that over in India, I don't know.
Already,
I don't know if he hasn't, man. If he has done an out-and-out drama with no action, recommend it to us, because I'm certainly will watch it. I think you could do it and I would enjoy it. I love the guy. I think he's a great actor. Stephen, we'll go back to the story briefly here, man. The way it was written, I enjoyed the way it was wrote. I thought it flowed well. They utilised the flashback sequence thing again. We've seen that in Tupaki, I want to say. We've seen it in Bahubali over 2 movies. Nothing to do with VJ, of course, but nonetheless, I like it when it's done. I thought it was well wrote, written, whatever way you want to say it. The characters developed very well for me. I liked the development in the VJ Kumar character, his relationship with the Samantha character, Mitri. The growth of this family, the way he changes a little bit, and then ultimately at the beginning and the beginning and the end of the movie, the drinks start to hit in. I like the development, the way this character was. This is strong shit, by the way. This is strong 6.1. This is strong. This is Irish barrel aged beer. So do forgive me. I like the character development. I like the way it was wrote, Stephen. It ebbed and flowed very well for me. It was a short movie as well. 2.5 hours long. It was short and really enjoyed it. Signing off, guys. Thanks for all your replies. See you in the next movie discussion. Not a problem. Thank you very much for coming in. Do appreciate you watching, 2-1. And I'm glad you enjoyed the bald look, because it's only like I've got now. I had my long hair when I was in my mid-20s. I'm screwed now. Steve, what do you make about the story, man? The way it flowed, do you think this could have been edited a little bit more cleaner?
I don't think so. I
thought it was edited pretty well.
It's one of the better edited films I've seen from Telepathy VJ, and I mean that in the most positive way. I'm going to make an example here, John. Normally I will watch the majority of the film, just obviously we're working guys, so time is precious, and try to watch a film that's over 2.5 hours, 3 hours long. Sometimes we have to split it into 2 nights. Sometimes this is the first time I didn't do that. I watched the film in its entirety.
So did that, Steve?
Because I was that engrossed in it, and I enjoyed it, and I went. I think it was 1 a.m. at this point, and I'm up at 6:30 in the morning. I went, so I'm going to watch the last half hour of this because I just want to see what happens, and that's down to great storytelling.
Stephen, I started watching this movie at 1:45 this morning. I stayed up to the back of the floor watching this movie all the way through. So I thought it was really well edited. I thought it flowed really well. It was engrossing. I really enjoyed it. So hats off to whoever wrote the story. I don't know if he mentioned Atlee. Was it Atlee that actually did it? Atlee Kumar wrote it.
Yeah.
And he wrote Tupaki, didn't he? I think he done that. Was it the Tupaki he done?
Well, let's
I'm not
click
sure.
on him, we'll find out.
Let's click on him. Did he do?
Ali Kumar, yeah. Great
Bring it up,
director,
I
by
tell you
the
what,
way.
bring it up, man.
Yeah,
We'll
young
get-
guy, I know. Look at
Yeah.
that, 1983, John.
He's insane,
He's
isn't
so
it, man?
young.
He is so young. He's a cool looking dude as
Yeah.
well, isn't he, man? Love the look.
John, the plaid shirts, the little girl with the plaid shirt that matched Telepathy VJ's
Oh,
characters.
yeah.
How
Yeah.
cool was that?
Yeah, that was brilliant, wasn't it, man? That was a little song and dance number at the start. Fun,
that was
first
good. I like
dance
that.
number. No, it was Mercil, Stephen. was
Biggle, he's done Biggle,
Biggle as well. It
which
was
we'll have-
Mercil, I was thinking
John,
about.
we're going to have to watch it. We're big football fans, so soccer fans, that
And
is.
Stephen, the
So
song
we
and
need
dance
to-
numbers in Biggle are incredible.
Yeah,
I
I
loved it.
know a lot of people have said it's not one of his best films, but I think for ourselves, just to get it off our chest, we'll have to do it at some point.
Yeah, Stephen, the sort of red coloured video song and dance number with the, I think it was a little guy from Master, the little Artful Dodger kind of guy. He was in it, and I loved that song. So that was from Biggle. But yeah, he's great, man, and he wrote Mercil, so I'll bring it back. So that's why I probably enjoyed it. I did enjoy Mercil as well a lot.
Yeah.
Performances, Stephen. Performances. I think it's a really only one choice again for me. It's got to be telepathy for me.
John, yeah.
Just again, sort of playing two totally different kind of characters in one, doing double duty, and absolutely effortless in the way he does it. I thought he was absolutely incredible again. Just great
Well,
entertainment,
I'll tell you
great value.
something. Yeah, I mean, out with obviously Telepathy VJ's character and his performance, the actor that is. For me, Jay Mahendran.
Yeah.
It was a great villain.
Yeah.
It was a great villain, John. It wasn't anything too complex. Maybe at times it looked like the twirling of the moustache, tying the girl to the railroad tracks kind of villain. Ha ha ha,
Yeah.
that kind of way. But I just felt there was a lot of justification in his motivation for what he was doing. I'm not saying what he was doing was right. It clearly wasn't right, but he was acting on impulse, revenge, and that's the kind of villains that you get and you enjoy in these type of films. But for me, I felt that Samantha as well was great in this film. For the limited time that she was in it, I liked the character.
I was looking at her there, Stephen. She's been in a couple now.
Yeah.
And she can dance like hell. She's been in a couple of things with telepathy. I really enjoyed her. Good chemistry. I enjoyed the character, but the guy was right. You could have probably was it Tanu? I'm going to bring it back up.
Yeah.
Tuban, he was right in the sense that you could cut the character out, and it probably wouldn't lose anything. But I still enjoyed her nonetheless. She was good value. Stephen, I was laughing because we've not really went over the songs. And
No, John, I'll be honest with
there's
you.
one song where he's a dwarf.
Yeah.
And I was
I sent you a
absolutely
screenshot
howling.
of that, didn't I?
Oh, it was brilliant. Absolutely amazing. And the way they bow him up and he goes like that, and he kind of goes. It was
quite-
brilliant. I really enjoyed
Quite fat at one point.
Stephen, I thought it was well choreographed. It was a catchy as hell song.
Yeah.
And there was one where he was singing. I don't know if it was him. If it was that one, he was singing. Yeah, the main man's actually singing. I said in my notes, he's singing in the second dance number. And he's got a great voice. Listen, I was listening to Cootie Story again today from Master. I really enjoy it.
Your mum told me.
Stephen, I don't know what palavida means. Palavida, but I love it. I love the way he says it. There's just something about the way that guy's voice rings. Palavida, problems will
Which
come
begs the
and
question,
go.
John, why sometimes his singing is sung by other singers.
Yeah.
I don't understand, because he can sing.
He can sing like hell. So it's confusing. But Stephen, the song and dance numbers, I did enjoy them. But for me, the best one was the sort of Mitri VJ story expanding out in this little 5-minute song and dance number, and the way it cut out so much of the superfluous time that would have added onto the movie if you didn't put it in the song and dance number. Stephen, for me, Rahendran as well. Great little performance from him. Colourful, vibrant little side character. Really enjoyed him. The actor's brilliant. He's so funny, man, and charismatic. Really enjoyed him. But for me, again, it was just the telepathy show. Just for me, the absolute standout performer.
Yeah.
There was no real competition. But Stephen, technical stuff, I don't know if you want to get into technical stuff, score, editing. I enjoyed the score, but not as much as previous movies
No.
for me. It
That's
wasn't,
why we're
just
not
didn't,
really talking about it.
didn't really stand out for me. The emotive moments, it kind of rose, and that was good. Editing was decent. We said we watched it all the way through, the two of us, so I liked that. Cinematography, par for the course, Stephen, for these kind of movies. Captures the action really well.
Yeah.
Captures the sort of emotion in the quieter scenes really well. I enjoyed the cinematography. I thought it was very decent indeed. Again, not the standout of all of the telepathy movies I've seen, but pretty decent nonetheless. Have you got anything to add, Steve?
John, just the structure of the film, that comes into the technical elements, I would say. I think structurally this film dealt with the flashbacks very well. Didn't hang around too long. I didn't think we were bogged down in the flashbacks. The flashbacks served a purpose of why he became the person he became.
Yeah.
And the justification of his actions after the flashbacks as well were well justified because of the structure of the film. I thought it was handled well.
It was handled very well, Stephen. Very well edited. Overall, just a nice structure, as you did say. Overall thoughts in the movie, Stephen, and the rating. I've changed my mind on the rating,
So have I,
Stephen.
John. So have I. But just before we do that, my thoughts on this film is it's going to be one I'll go back to. It's got rewatchability about it. I like the characters. I really connected with them, especially the father and daughter. I felt that was a great relationship and convincing as well. Having 2 daughters myself, it just felt natural between these 2 actors. Supporting cast as well, John, I felt were fantastic as well. I liked that guy, Mota Rajendran. I felt he was a great character once more. This is a great actor, and he's got
a great distinctive voice.
And I felt VJ's mother as well. I liked her. I thought she was a good character in this, quite bubbly.
Had VJ's best intentions at heart.
Yeah.
Wanted to see him fulfill his life in a sense. His goals.
I got a lot of satisfaction out of the film, John. I felt for a revenge film it was justified. Not a lot of films do that.
No.
Revenge films, I felt sometimes there's not a lot of justification in them, but in this one there was moments in this film that made my blood boil, and when we got the sort of payoff, it was well justified and satisfactory.
Absolutely, Stephen. I'm rating this movie a B-, Stephen.
B- for me as well, John. Yeah.
I changed my mind from a C+. I think it deserves a B.
I think so.
It's the second best telepathy movie I've watched.
I agree.
Really enjoyed the way it flowed. Characters are interesting. But look, that's going to round the review. I'm going to cut right to the chase.
You might want to mention Sunday, John.
Yes, Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Have I got it here? We are doing a Q&A.
Yeah.
It is there. That was very abrupt.
Look at that.
On Sunday.
Very fresh face there.
Yes. I look much better there than I do just now, Stephen, because I've got a hat on. And the beard's looking better as well. But we are doing a Q&A.
I've got 2 chins there.
Doing a Q&A, unplanned live if you'd like, just going off the rails a bit. If you want to come along and enjoy the experience, ask us some questions, fire away,
John,
man.
I'll tell you something, we've already got some in the inbox or an email,
indeed, yes.
which is going to be very interesting. I know you've not seen them yet.
I've not.
But I have been checking them out.
What's the deal for the website, Stephen?
Well, you're going to obviously be putting the graphics together, John, for the questions that are coming through by email. So thankfully, a lot of people have came back. I'm saying a lot of people. Enough to keep us chatting away while the live chat goes on as well. So it's going to be interesting, John. Kevin is going to be with us as well.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Well, I've designed a nice little graphic.
Yeah.
A scene in OBS for him. So if he comes in, it'd be much appreciated.
It would have a 3-way conversation. Well, hopefully we'll have a more than a 3-way conversation with the live chat.
Certainly up the hair game. Just being there.
I think the chat as well will be good if he does manage to appear.
Absolutely, Steve. But look, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully people can come in and actually have a gab with us. It'd be very enjoyable. I do like speaking. That's why we do it, after all. But that's going to round up a review of Theri. Going off in a complete different discussion. Yeah. That's going to round our review up on Theri. What was your thoughts on this telepathy movie, man? What did you make about the societal ills that he was shining a light upon in this? What did you make about the structure, the character development, the action sequences, anything in between? If you've got anything to share your thoughts on it, you can comment below in the comment section. Talk about our review as well if you've got anything to say about that. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the follow button over on Twitch if you want to see more content like this in the future, and you will get it, guys. That's how you enable it. But look, until then, me and Stephen are done. The drink's kicking in. Bye bye.